That's interesting that you say that. I always thought that like you can call it God of the universe, whatever you choose.
Yeah.
But it always seems to me that like it's almost like a blessing to be born in a third world country to some degree, because like there's not as many like external influences. So what you really have to worry about is like shelter, how you're gonna eat, and community and family.
Like the basics.
Right?
When you like strip everything down to the basics, you know, it's like, who are we without our careers, without our swag and our drip and all of like our sneakers and stuff? It's like, do you still like who you are without all of that stuff? Or are you attaching your identity to those things? And so maybe when you don't have those attachments, it's easier to know who you are and to like be a good human and express yourself.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. We're back with another episode of Soul, and today we have Luann, the owner of Ruru Baked. And Luann, if you would like to just introduce yourself quickly.
Yeah, I'm Luann, obviously, of Ruru Baked. So I'm the owner and pastry chef here. We make custard-based ice creams and other baked goods.
Amazing, amazing.
I was born in Singapore. When I was 1 or 2 years old, we moved to Ontario. Until I was 10 years old, I grew up in Pickering. And then we moved to Calgary, Alberta. So I lived in Calgary until 2015, and then my husband and I moved back to Toronto.
And so just growing up in Alberta, you know, what was that like for you?
It was good. I mean, it's a great place for a family, for families. The nature there is beautiful. That's the three things that I miss from Calgary are going to the mountains, because we live near the Rockies. 5% tax is really nice when you're buying stuff, and the best Vietnamese food, like outside of Vietnam, I would say.
Really?
And it's well known to be like some of the best Vietnamese food that you can get is in Calgary. But yeah, it was nice. I mean, I have a lot of Asian friends there. My friend group there is mostly Asian, but I grew up around mostly white people. So a lot of my teen years and like elementary school years, high school, was, you know, doing a lot of hanging out with a lot of white people and wanting to be white sometimes, you know, like I only wanted to eat meat and potatoes and like weird things. And then I only started coming into my Asian heritage as I got older.
I've actually low-key kind of experienced something like that before. When I grew up in like a white neighborhood, I would say, you kind of like, well, for me personally, I'd say I kind of forgot almost like where I come from to some degree. But I think that when I was able to like, I met some friends at university, and I was able to kind of regain it slowly, like my heritage and where I come from. Even though I speak like my own language and things like that, when you're like engulfed with people who don't look like you kind of like take on their, you know, the environment.
When I first started the business, I wanted to make ice cream and desserts that were Asian inspired, because I wasn't really seeing that a lot. There was definitely places in Toronto that were doing it, but I just felt like I could put my own twist on it as well and do things that, for example, Filipino cuisine and Singaporean cuisine are a little bit different than just like your regular, not regular, but Chinese cuisine or other things. And so I wanted to have a little bit more representation, and I think that definitely helped the business because it was a little bit unique or more niche than a regular ice cream shop.
With like Ruru Baked, like when it was created, like what space did that come from?
Yeah, so I actually was going through a very difficult time and had was questioning my identity a lot and what I was doing. Like I said, I was in a super life-sucking job and didn't want to be doing it anymore, but I didn't know what I wanted to do in my own life. So one of my best friends kind of provoked me to make ice cream. And so I did, and it was fun. I went to school for baking pastry, so she would always ask me like, can you make this? Can you make that? And so I made the ice cream, and I was like, oh, I made something, and it was really good. So I kept making it and giving it to friends. And I think because I was so, felt so low in my life at that time, it came at a point where I was like, oh, hey, I'm doing something creative. I'm having fun. People like it. And I'm not saying that this is right, but it gave me a sense of self-worth because I was getting validated by other people for the thing that I was creating.
Yeah.
And so at the time I was like, okay, this is like helping. It's helping me build my confidence back up and helping with my self-worth, and that's where it came out of. And then it just became fun, and I was like, I think I could do this as like a side hustle.
And the space of who you are, like how would you say like Ruru Baked fits into that?
I would say it's the first thing that I've done in my life that actually feels right. Like it has purpose and I feel fulfilled doing it. It also allows me to give back a little bit to the community. I love building a team and being able to like support them through having a job and like giving them benefits, and making even like a little family out of the team is really nice. But yeah, it just feels fulfilling to be doing it. Everyone's so focused on scaling, growing, like let's make this bigger, let's make this better. And why can't you just be like a very successful company of one or of 6 or of 10? It doesn't you don't have to have 100 employees to be successful.
Yeah.
I think also I went to this talk way back in the day with David Suzuki.
Okay.
Do you know David Suzuki?
Yeah,
okay, I'm like, are you too young for
no,
David Suzuki?
We've learned about David Suzuki.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
So he said humans, obviously he's a little bit biased. He's very environmentalist, not so much for economy or anything like that, but he was like, yeah, humans are a virus. We produce and consume. That's our whole thing. Produce, consume, produce, consume. And that's what we're doing to the earth. And he said everyone's so consumed with growing. Grow, do more. And he's like, sometimes we just need to slow down and be okay with where we're at. I didn't pay myself for the first 3 years of business. I only just started paying myself starting February of this year.
You're not money driven at all then.
No, and anytime we make more money, like I told this to my husband, I was like, I don't think I'm a very good entrepreneur, because like every time we make more money, I just want to like give everyone a raise or like donate. It feels greedy to want to keep all of it for myself.
That's really representative though of even this space, because there's not like much in it, right? It's kind of just the things that you need to use to make ice cream. You got some merch over there. Yeah. So is that like who you are essentially? Like not what, there's more, pieces to you obviously, but is that like an important part of it where like you're a minimalist and money's not a main motivator for you?
Yeah, for me, money is more of a tool for freedom. Like to be able to do things that I want to do without having to think about it. But also, if I make more money than everybody else, I feel like I have to work the hardest. Because why would I make, I don't know, it's just, again, not an entrepreneurial mindset. Most entrepreneurs would probably be like, you make the most money, but you do the least amount of work because you train everyone else to do the things. But in my mind, I'm always like, okay, if I'm making the most, I have to do the most. And I have to work the hardest so that I've earned that money, right? But I do feel like I am a minimalist. Like, I didn't used to be. I used to have like so many sneakers and so many things, all these, like so many clothes. And ever since we moved to Toronto, we've lived in small houses. And so I don't have a lot of closet space. So I don't have the space to afford having a lot of things, but also not having clutter and not having a lot of things is very decluttering for your mind.
So is the minimalism a part of a reason why you're not trying to be like Ben and Jerry's or like Haagen-Dazs.
I think so, yeah. And also it's just, like I said, simplicity.
Yeah.
You know, like you also have to ask yourself, why do you want to do that? Like, why would I want to be Ben and Jerry's?
Yeah.
Why would I? And sometimes those things just don't align with my values, or they don't appeal to me as a person. I like having a small thing. For me, I don't think it would bring us joy to have 10 stores. I think that would bring me stress, to be quite honest. Probably a negative way to look at it, but yeah, I think it would just be too much for me to handle. And I know I could probably hire people to help me handle it, but it's just never been appealing to me.
Well, it sounds kind of like maybe you're almost already fulfilled. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because I think a lot of scaling happens, in my opinion, because people don't have enough.
Yeah, or they feel like pressure to do more, and I just don't think you have to.
And so are you like in an environment where you don't have much pressures from other people?
Oh, a lot. Like people are always like, I get hit up all the time.
Yeah.
I want to invest in your company. When you open up a shop in Scarborough, open up a shop in Markham, open up a shop in Calgary or Vancouver, and I don't really want to. Like, I'm just I'm happy where we're at right now, and we've only had the shop open since January. Why can't I just live here for a little bit?
Yeah.
You know, like I would just like to stay in this space for a little bit, and then maybe when I feel good and like we can do more and we want to do more, we will at that time. Yeah, that I would just love to stay small but be well known.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't have to be huge to be really good at your craft. And so it'd be cool if we could still just be, you know, like a Toronto shop that's really good at what they do, and people come here for that.
It might be time for this question. This is always the last question. But ultimately for you, right, what do you think your like soul yearns for?
My soul yearns for? I think like our whole, like the why of Ruru Baked is also taps into a little bit of like my purpose, and I think it's just to serve people. Like the why of Ruru Baked is to bring people joy, but it all comes down to service. Helping people, doing things for other people, not just for myself.
It's beautiful. It is. It is.
Sounds cheesy, but yeah, it's true.
Plug your social media.
Oh, we are at Ruru Baked on Instagram. We don't have a Twitter. At Ruru Baked on TikTok, and Facebook is Ruru Baked as well, but we're never on Facebook, so don't hit us up on there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Luann.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, hopefully that was okay.
Yes, it was. It was top notch.
Cool.
You good? All right. All right. Thanks, Luann.
Yeah, no
That was dope.
problem.
I appreciate it.
You mind if I get a couple more?